Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian and it is another gruesome twosome episode.
Yes, the dynamic duo.
Yes, Dylan and myself. We are bringing it back kind of to our roots with this one.
Yeah,
we
old school 80s action flick.
I know, and I would say an action horror thriller as it says on the on the
I think
page.
it did a pretty good job in those aspects.
Probably not horror, but definitely thriller was a good definition.
Man, somebody comes charging at me through a wooden door with a fucking knife that looks like custom made. I'm gonna be pretty fucking scared.
Right. So we watched a movie called Cobra. It's a 1986 film starring Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, a Stallone classic.
Oh man, this was like peak 80s movie, dude. I thought it was really good.
It was like verbatim an 80s movie.
Right.
It had it all.
It felt like an old-fashioned Fast and Furious movie, but scarier.
Yeah. A wee bit, yeah.
That also mixed with kind of a what you call it, like a detective.
Oh yeah, kind of like film noir.
A loose cannon cop type thing. Yeah, it had that same sort of like every good action movie in the 80s had, I think.
God damn it, Cobra, I wish I could quit you.
I wish I could quit you. But yeah, let me go ahead and say some.
It was wild.
Let me go ahead and say some real words instead of just some sounds.
Yeah.
One of the first things I can think of right off the bat was the cinematography. I thought was really good in it. I loved the use of the red lighting.
Yes. Especially in the intro sequence,
they
dude.
Had that, and then they had some sections of the movie that like just had what felt like natural red light from like neon
like
lights,
sunset.
From a sunset, or I'm thinking more like from a red
big ass Pepsi sign,
or like a neon sign or some sort of like neon, like a street thing or whatever. Like it just had like little aspects of it where like there's this little red like rim light around it, and it gave it this cool action vibe. It was so cool. The lighting in it was amazing all the way through. It had its regular tropes, right, and all that kind of stuff with what,
dude, like
an action
the whole
movie would
scene
have.
where like in the beginning where this psycho holds people hostage in a grocery store,
right?
The whole scene where Cobra drives up.
Oh man!
And just like walks up to the front of the scene, like it's nothing, like belongs there.
Yeah, you have cops all stationed around, guns ready, trying to like defuse the situation from the outside, like you'd imagine.
And
a man,
the expert appears,
and then this guy. I mean, and I think it was was it a 50s?
It looked like a car from the 50s.
I think it was a 50s Chevy or Chrysler. I can't be sure, but it was a grayed out, like it was all like gunmetal gray, and this guy starts like pulling up. And we're in the 80s.
License plate said awesome
50. But it was just AWSOM.
Yeah.
And so he just like busts up in there like he owns the place. And it's like, oh man, this is the negotiator.
Oh yeah.
This is the guy who's gonna come to terms with something.
Definitely.
It's what it feels like.
By the end of a barrel of a gun, for sure.
Oh, of course. And again, I'm talking right off the bat. We're like maybe 10 minutes into this film, and we're getting these quips, these little 80s stingers.
There are so many good one-liners in this movie.
Oh, and I want this podcast to pay off just like the movie did. Mm-hmm. There is a distinctive match that he has in his mouth when he pulls up, and he has it throughout many key scenes of this movie. Mm-hmm. Just hold on to that. And it's not only that, again, attention to detail in certain aspects, maybe not in the ones that matter, but it is a strike anywhere match specifically. Right. And so I was like,
he's going to use that for something.
I didn't think so, because again,
Cobra's match.
Right. He just has it around. And again, as this scene plays out, like we said before, he finally gets the bad guy, and he has a bomb, and he has a gun up there, and he's like, I'm going to shoot him. I'll kill him. I'll blow this whole store up. I'll blow him up.
He said, the motherfucker says, go ahead. I don't shop here. Like, oh, okay. It's like one of the hostages I'd like to think one of them would chime in like, well, what the fuck about
us?
I
don't know about me.
I shop here.
Please.
I was shopping here this morning.
Yeah, I was shopping here right now. But then I think he also says, you're a psycho, and
I don't deal with psychos. I put them away.
I put them away. And then the last but not least, they're like he goes crazy again and starts to go like, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna shoot him or whatever. And then his last thing he says, what was that last one?
You're the disease.
Yeah, you're the disease.
The cure.
And I'm the cure. And then I think
he at this point to sort of talk the guy down, or at least try to, he has put his gun away.
Right.
And he slowly reaches behind into his back pocket.
Right.
Pulls out a knife and chucks it at the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Impales him like right in the chest.
Yeah. And then of course I think he's also shouting, put it down, put it down.
Puts it down. He says put it down, and within like a second he just starts shooting.
Because also the frame catches
like the man is like in shock that there is a knife now in his chest.
Not only that, but again, he also, I don't think he caught it, but he also swings the shotgun around and like points at him. He's like, put it down. He swings right and goes, bah, 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 bah. He just kills that man. And I was like, oh shit, dude. And of course you get this first real reaction of like the good cop, bad cop scenario of I don't remember who the guy with the glasses is. He's the good cop in this scenario. I forgot what his character name is. But regardless, he's waiting outside and he's like, you could have handled this better.
Oh yeah.
You didn't have to
it was like
you didn't have to go off and you didn't have to go off and kill him. Detective Monty, I think is his name. And of course he's just getting all mad and all this guy, he's getting frustrated because he's like, you're devil may care ways and all that stuff.
Freaking maverick renegade.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think
put you behind bars.
And then one of the reporters says something about how he comments on the fact that like you killed him and it was like a needless amount of violence or whatever.
Do you think you used unnecessary deadly force?
Right. But I think
he turns around and says, "I used everything I had."
I used everything I had. but the comment that I'm talking about is like just after he says that, there's a point where he says like, I can't remember what he says exactly, but it hits home in a way where he's like he had a life, he could have gone to do something or whatever. He's like, he could have been something, whatever. And of course, earlier on, the crazy man with a shotgun, he kills an innocent bystander after telling him he's allowed to leave or whatever. Yeah. And then of course, that's where
he like
our boy
grabs him
Cobra,
by the collar, whips him around,
and then it's like
shows him the dead body, and it's like, why don't you tell that to his family?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh shit, dude, we're getting heavy right off the bat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's like the start of the real action of the movie. I will say that I think the story of like the lore of this movie was kind of lackluster.
Yeah, they didn't really expand upon much.
I think
they highlighted what they needed to, I felt like.
Right. I think that we got the exposition we were kind of looking for at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And
it just wasn't like a full-on explanation.
I felt like there was a long scene at the start with the motorcycle scene and then the clanking of axes, and I feel like
the axe cult.
Yeah. The axe brigade.
Good Lord.
I feel like we could have gotten some exposition there as to like what their motive was, because we're like starting off this movie and it's just like it feels like a merry band of misfits just killing people for the hell of it.
Lumberjacks Anonymous.
Right. Lumberjacks Anonymous. Oh, man. Chip on shoulder.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of how the movie starts, is like there's this one guy, and you could tell he's like our main antagonist. He has I'm assuming, motherly figure, but doesn't really feel like a motherly figure. Kind of feels like a weird love interest, question mark, but it's strange. And he has like another like cohort. It's like his second in command, kind of. That's like the three trio out of like the axe cult we're talking about.
The three main crazies.
They have, again, at this point in the movie, you don't really know what their motive is, but they're like, we're the new...
Just killing people for the fun of it.
The new generation. You can't stop us or whatever.
The hunters.
Yeah, and then they're just apparently taking out the weak, and they're just like killing senselessly and needlessly, what seems like. But man... Oh, what's some good action scenes, dude. There was there's also at a certain point in the movie where there's a car chase, and it feels like a Fast and Furious movie. That's why I said that earlier. Is it just feels like
straight out of.
I just love how like they're kind of hitting his windows. They took out his headlights or whatever, like some gunshots or whatever. But like everything was all good because they were like kind of doing a poor job at aiming.
Right.
But then they punched a couple holes in the back of his trunk, and he got pissed off. As they're driving, turns the car around, and then proceeds to grab
an SMG
out of nowhere. Seemed like
just had it in his back pocket.
Hear me out.
Like the knife.
You ever seen a cartoon where they just like yoink and then just like a huge hammer behind their back? That's what it felt like, but it was with like Sylvester Stallone.
Big-ass sword out of a small handbag.
Yes, it felt like Sylvester Stallone was pulling a Bugs Bunny on us, just like surprise, bitch! I have a gun.
Mallet.
But it's an SMG,
right?
And he's just driving backwards and just starts laying into this truck, and of course, in true '80s action movie fashion, the shit goes up in flames.
He hits it just right,
and it blows up.
It fucking explodes,
and does that cool like front over end maneuver where it explodes and is like flipping over. And of course, he just whips back around like nothing ever happened. And I was like, it was all fun and games until he started popping holes in his car, and now he's pissed off.
He wrecks that thing.
Oh,
too.
Dude, he freaking kills it, man. I can see on Rotten Tomatoes that this thing has an 18%, and that makes me sad. Because I think I understand why. It's probably the weak story, but again, it's an action movie. I'm not really here for the story.
You're for dumb fun, action, and explosions.
I do
that's
think
exactly what you get.
Right. I do think that just a little bit of exposition as to what their motives were would probably, I think, make this movie a really, really good movie in my personal opinion.
It ended up being like this surface level might makes right.
Right.
Strong should subject the weak.
Yeah.
Sort of deal. Which, I mean, is fine. It's something that's used a lot in other media. But, you know.
Oh, yeah. I really did like his character. Yeah. He kind of had this kind of careless attitude sort of thing, but you can tell. But I wouldn't quite say that, though. I felt like he did care. Right. I just felt like he did what he knew he had to do. And again, with I can understand justice, and I can understand like senseless killing or whatever. But at the same time, if you have a cult of murderers, they're just senseless at killing everybody. This may question
with dubious motivation.
This may question my morality. But if a loose cannon cop decides to just start clapping murderers to take them out, I'd be like, hey, more power to you, man.
Right.
So at this point, it's like people are kind of getting mad at him because he's like, you know, I think he cares.
Don't you think you went a little overboard?
It's like, nah.
Don't you think they did?
Exactly. Do you know what we're handling here? Yeah. We're handling a murder cult. So it's like, okay.
A bunch of serial killers that got together. Do you know how rare that is?
Right.
Those motherfuckers stay away from each other.
Exactly. Now we have a band of them that are just terrorizing our town. Of Los Angeles, of all places. And I'm like, of course.
As if LA couldn't get any worse.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. But that's the thing is, people are kind of getting mad at him, and he kind of comes across as like, yeah, whatever. But it's like I can tell, at least in his character, how Sylvester Stallone plays the character, that it's like, I think deep down he knows what he's doing is right. He's not just like he's not actually careless. I think he is careful with what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
and and is deliberate in his.
If we're willing to overlook that storyline in the beginning of the movie,
right,
he does care for real. Believe us,
exactly. But
he just sees he's got jokes.
Hey,
he's got a funny sense of humor.
We have a nice female character that comes in. It's kind of the love interest, but I think she's also. Model. I think she's an interesting character. I mean, it's an 80s movie, so I think she's kind of the damsel in distress.
Right.
But I think she is also funny in some regards. So I think it's interesting. I think it's a cool turn of events.
Big fan of ketchup.
Oh yeah, it was too much.
Submerges French fries.
It's Liz's line. Did you bring a life preserver? Why? You just help.
French fry drowning.
Yeah,
ketchup.
French fries are drowning. Just help. It's like, oh man. But yeah, his name is Marion Cobretti. I was like, oh, what a cool name. I just love the name Cobretti.
Yeah.
Call me Cobra.
it's odd to say, but I don't think Marion is like a bad name for a guy.
No, I can understand why. It all depends. Whenever you see a man like Sylvester Stallone in the 80s, and you're like, my name's Marion, you're like, okay, yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure it's not Mark?
Yeah, or Chuck. It just like, but that's the thing is like if you got like a guy who's like, hey, my name is Marion, it's like okay,
that checks out. That's fine. You can pass for a girl.
Right. But the second you have like a huge, I mean that's the same thing with like calling a a fully jacked man, calling him little or something,
right?
Or it's
tiny.
Like tiny, like
pipsqueak,
right? That's
where it turns into like a form of endearment, I
right.
think.
I mean, yes, but I think for me it holds the same kind of the same thought in my head of like you see a strong guy with the name Marion. It's like I'm not gonna make fun of him.
Right.
I think I'm just not.
Like, have you seen the motherfucker?
Right.
I ain't saying nothing.
he just openly unleashed a freaking clip of bullets into this guy who waved a shotgun in his presence.
I would only ever name my kid any kind of like feminine name if I knew he was gonna turn out that way.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Be like a super badass.
Right.
It's like I dare somebody to make fun of your name.
Yeah. He's also, always wearing light wash jeans, a black shirt, and these like very nice reflective aviators. No, not aviators. Is that what that is?
Yeah, they're aviators.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking from.
It looks like he just got out from the optometrist.
Yeah,
getting his eyes dilated.
Oh, dude, yeah. They're so reflective.
Mm-hmm.
They're also, they're cool.
Oh yeah.
Whenever they're very impactful. Whenever he takes them off, you're like, oh, this is a moment.
Serious.
He's serious right now.
It ain't no fun in games once the glasses are off.
Right. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think also his sidekick character.
Yeah, Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. He's such a cool character. I love the little banter back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's really cool. He likes sweets and he's a junk food eater. I love he's like, eat something natural.
At one point in the
movie. Fish and rice.
Fish and rice. There's, at one point in the movie when they're getting this supermodel lady to a safe house.
Right.
Gonzalez is stopping by this little like candy vending machine.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want some? And she's like, sure. It's like, a fellow garbage belly.
Yeah, right. A fellow garbage belly.
Yeah.
You're speaking to me, man. Mm-hmm. And then he proceeds to get a Coke and then just like slam it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Chugs that thing.
Right. Man. Yeah. Like I said,
it's a fun movie.
I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Like I said, I seeing the cover art and feeling that it was like, oh, this is either like late 70s or 80s at some point. I was like, okay, so it's 86. It fits. Mm-hmm. I was like buckled in for a fun time. I was ready for some one-liners.
And boy, did you get them.
I was ready for some explosions. Mm-hmm. To be honest, it warrants for me a second watching because of the one-liners. Mm-hmm. I can't quite.
We're going to bring this one back around for Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. It's also kind of in the Christmas time.
Yep.
Nothing
Ethan has to see this one.
He's
going to have a fucking field day. Holy shit.
There's nothing like a good 80s action Christmas movie.
It's perfect.
Right. And again, just thinking of other parts, there's like good shots, like I said, of our main villain with this red light on his face as he's doing
slasher.
Dude, I'm not making fun of him when I say this. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a strange looking guy. Yeah. His like facial structure.
I want to know if that was like his actual voice or if they actually like pitched it down.
I don't know.
Or if it was actually just that deep a register.
Right. He just has kind of that like. He's got like a wide jaw.
Yeah.
And it kind of has like
protruding.
He also has kind of a square shaped head. Yeah. I'm doing a very bad job describing it to him.
Well, I mean,
but that's what he looks like in simple words. But like he just has kind of that like a strange look.
Yeah.
And then whenever he has his like this like menacing like grimace,
it's terrifying.
The like look down and like look past your eyebrows with this red light underneath. You're like, oh god, this guy's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
So it definitely
portrayed by Brian Thompson.
Right, and it definitely sells.
I had seen him in some other stuff before.
Let's see if he's is it Mortal Kombat, Expendables.
Oh my god, he was in the fucking Mortal Kombat Annihilation movie.
Wow. Oh, dude.
He was in Fright Night 2.
Yeah. I don't know what some of these.
Order.
Joe Dirt? What the heck?
Epoch.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
He was in Dragonheart.
Wow. Man. So there you go.
Damn.
And a number of things.
And the Three Amigos. Holy shit.
Cool. Well, at least now we know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it was an interesting character, because it's like you see him and you're like, oh man, was he in Terminator also?
It looks like it, yeah.
Whoa, no way.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably where I think I recognize him from. You want to talk about a blast from the past for us? That was like our first episode, I think, was on the Terminator.
Sure was.
Talk about it. Oh, no way. He played a Klingon?
What?
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's interesting.
Damn.
Yeah, he just played a whole bunch of stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. Man, what an awesome history of...
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's
anyways.
Definitely got a track record.
Yeah, there you go. This is the guy.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
He's the dude he steals the clothes from in
I
the
know.
Terminator.
That's so crazy. Yeah, there's also the...
That's so cool.
I can't remember his name either, but he's also an alien. The Game Over, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Wow, dude. What a small world.
Nice.
Of 80s movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, so...
back on track.
Yeah, back on track. Sorry. We got a little distracted there for a minute. But, what was I saying? Like I said, I guess the story wasn't really, as far as like I said before initially, the lore of the movie. There's no real like deep diving, but I think the movie like flows really well. It progresses into like the next part of the movie. At least for an action movie, it's like, you know, there's quick cuts and there's interesting
stuff. As much as you can expect, what you get is pretty good.
There's a nice montage sequence in there.
Yeah.
Man. But dude, whenever like they're getting towards the wrapping up the movie, or like getting kind of towards the end, there is
the biker gang rolls up, surrounds the house that they're staying in.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I'm fully in right now. I'm like, I'm looking for some 80s practical effects here.
Oh, yeah.
And they delivered.
Pyrotechnics were off the chain.
He had full-on, like, pineapple grenades. And it was just...
He just packed 3 of those fuckers.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yep. He's like sitting there while the lady's in bed. And he's like just putting together this whole SMG. And he's like out of like a briefcase. And I was like, oh, dude, this is like... in every before the big day part of the movie.
The prep phase.
Yes, he just knows. It's like, oh, yeah,
getting my loadout situated.
Right. He has, and again, the jackets in this movie, the trench coats, the big long coats, whatever.
Fantastic.
He has this kind of like, it looks like it's like a twill or something, like long coat, and I mean like mid thigh.
Right.
And he has it on, and it doesn't look strange because again, it looks normal.
Right.
But then like the biker gang rolls up and starts to like wreak havoc. No, I'm sorry. It's before the biker gang. He's finding out at this point in time that the officer from the headquarters that's with him is like a double agent.
Cahoots.
And of course, I think Gonzalez says like, I always knew I hated that bitch or something like that. And he's like, me too. But then like, of course, then he just like whips off this jacket like it's like an anime or whatever. And he just like, and all of a sudden he has
Behold, the armory.
He has one of those like harnesses on over his shoulders,
like 6
and he has
clips of ammo.
Yeah, for his SMG gun, just like sitting there. And of course, he's just ready to go. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, this is it.
Prepped and of course, ready.
It is just a perfect example of a nice fight sequence. And of course, you can't have an 80s action movie without them somehow making their way to a foundry.
Yeah,
or
a factory of some
factory. Sort. And always, the ending fight always has to be in a factory of some kind. And in this movie's defense, he did say whenever they were at the bar at the local town or whatever, he's like, this is a mining town. He's like, so this is kind of a... So you have some setup. You're like, okay, you know, it's a mining town.
Makes sense that
it's
they
small,
would end up in this structure.
Yeah. So again, whenever they like go off the beaten path down the orange tree fields, they're like making their way into this like
it's
factory.
Enough of a change of scenery that you're like, what the hell are they doing? Oh wait, yeah, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, I see what's going on now. Yeah. But then, like, dude, that whole last fight sequence where
That was
you have
good.
both our guy Cobra and his
The
lady,
Night
Slasher, the female person, whoever she is, and then his like second
the
in command
traitorous officer,
right? And then the second in command has a sniper rifle for like the bad guys or whatever. That's kind of his characteristic. I can't remember his name if he even had one.
Yeah, I don't think they gave him one.
Right. I think he does, but it's never really said. So
Right.
I think it's on the roster of characters. But anyways, so he's the first one to get got.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, this movie has a bunch of, like, payoffs where it's like they introduce something, and, of course, later on, like, it kind of makes sense in some way. But the biggest one for me, and I even said this earlier, I was like, I'm not expecting this strike anywhere match to do anything, because again, it's just been in his mouth the whole
like
movie.
A little character quirk.
Exactly, because I know toothpicks are a thing.
Right.
I mean, you know,
why not a match?
I mean, it's
relatively same shape,
and it's wood. You know, hey, and it's one-sided, so you know, maybe you know whatever. And again, he doesn't smoke because earlier in the movie, whenever he goes to parallel park in front of the place,
up on a few goons, just taking up space.
Yeah.
So he like honks at him. Of course, they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, what do you want, dude?
Off.
Yeah.
So he gets he just straight up like pushes their car out of the way with his own.
Yeah.
He gets out and they get out. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, whatever, dude. And they kind of bump his car or whatever, and he just looks at him.
Yeah.
And the guy's smoking. He's like, you know, it's bad for your health, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I am. And then
yanks it out of his
not even yanks
not like a light snatch, like real quick. He straight up just puts his hand all over the guy's mouth. And grabs the cigarette.
I want you to picture yourself looking at someone with an almost full cigarette hanging out their mouth towards the right side, and I want you to put your right hand, the pinky side, up against their nose and mouth, and then just slowly close your fist, all your fingers, and then just grab the cigarette and then yank it out of their mouth, crushing it in the process. I mean, just the most like, I'm going to grab every inch of this cigarette out of your mouth.
And if that wasn't bad enough, he takes the guy by like the collar of his shirt and he says, clean up your act.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he rips the front half of his shirt off. Like, what?
And it's like a shirt, like a wife beater shirt or whatever. He just rips it off. And the guy's like, and you can tell he's kind of trying to get mad, but at the same time, he's also had the cigarette yanked out.
With this guy.
He's got the cigarette yanked out of his mouth and the shirt ripped off his chest while he's still wearing it. He's like,
I can't. I'm defeated. Yeah. What do I do?
Cool. Okay. But anyways, saying that, he doesn't smoke, so it's not like he like holds on to a match constantly just to, you know, have a light every now and then, because that would make sense.
Right.
But no. And so he just has this, you know, like occasionally
just choose on a match.
You know, it's just is what it is. Mm-hmm. And then let's go ahead and fast forward all the way back to that moment. Oh,
he's fighting the sniper dude in this foundry.
What a payoff!
Oh yeah, what does he do? He cuts one of the cuts one of the
no. So Cobra is on like a what is it called? Yeah, like a catwalk. Mm-hmm. And there's like, I'm guessing it's some kind of lighter fluid or gasoline or something, and these like barrels that are like next to him on the catwalk.
Oh, okay.
And the guy underneath him panics because he hears them, and then swings the gun up and then tries to shoot him, and in the process misses and
shoots one of the barrels,
and then releases a bunch of lighter fluid onto himself. But he's looking up, and so of course the guy's like, "Oh my god," because he's got shit in his eyes now, and then oh god, like true badass, you know, our main character who maybe cares, maybe doesn't, we don't know.
Right.
Takes the match out of his mouth and then says, "You have a right to remain silent." and then proceeds to strike it on the grip of his gun, like the ridged part, light it, and then just drops it. And
lights the man ablaze.
And I was like,
burning to death. Holy shit.
And again, the funny thing is, not even probably 15 minutes earlier, I had said, if this movie has a comeback and this match pays off, that'll be cool. If not, it's okay. I understand.
Right.
So I was like, it doesn't have to be nothing. It can just be something interesting, something funny. Who knows? Whatever. Just like a cigarette at the end of the movie. I don't know, anything, whatever. Right. And then I was not expecting him to burn that man alive. I was like, oh my God. Wow.
He was waiting for that.
Right. When I was asking for you to, pull the trigger, I didn't know you were going to go all the way.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
What did I expect from our man Cobra?
Right. Does not give two shits.
Oh, dude. And then, of course, obviously, we're like, this is where, like I was saying before, we get some real exposition as to what their intentions are, but I still can't really tell you what it is. Yeah. They're our main bad guy is kind of like, we're superior. Yeah. We got to kill the weak, and you can't get rid of us. Mm-hmm. It's about society. You're on, like a yammering on. But he sounds like this. He's like, I'm going to get you, pig.
Yeah, you want to go to hell with
me? Right. He's just like he's going crazy. Mm-hmm. And again, obviously, they're in a foundry of some kind, but also it's, an 80s action movie, so they're just dripping wet. Mm-hmm. It's hot.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that's what it is.
Right.
Or it's,
as well as it being like a high-stress situation.
Yeah, exactly. So they're just like,
you're in this
so he's just, every time he says pig, it just like, you just see his pretty, it just like, you see this
a fine mist.
Yes, exactly, over everything. Mm-hmm. Very intense.
Yeah.
Our man.
I love the exchange that they have.
Oh, dude.
So
they do like a little back and forth every now and then, a little juking.
Like Cobra has him like at gunpoint.
Right.
Like he's downrange and is like, you won't shoot, pig.
Right.
I have rights.
Yeah.
Don't I?
Right.
They'll say I'm insane.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take me in.
Yeah, he's really, really poking
just
at him.
Rubbing it in.
And of course, we've watched this entire movie where our main antagonist guy, I don't think has really seen the do not caritiveness of our character.
The devil may give a shit.
Yeah, right. And so the fact that, like, he has killed people, he has killed your guys for less offenses. Mm-hmm. Like I said, at the beginning of the movie, he lays into a guy just for waving a shotgun after he says to put it down.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, you're over here actually killing people with your fancy knife, and you're over here like it's a very strange, interesting knife. Mm-hmm. It's got those like grip handles that has like brass knuckles on it, but it's not brass knuckles. It's like spiked knuckles.
Right.
But he, like I said, this whole exchange, again, as the viewer, you're like, boy, I understand you're trying to be the bad guy here, and you're trying to be really tough.
But you're talking to a wall right now.
I don't think you understand who you're talking to right now.
Getting through to anybody.
And I think that's the coolest part about most like 80s action movies like movies like this, is that you know who you're fighting for. Like, who, it kind of is the same thing with like Terminator in a degree, but in like the
villains are unambiguously evil.
Right. But what I'm saying is like also, the hero, I'm not going to say has plot armor, but kind of does, but also is just in
most cases, usually.
Yeah, you have seen the progression of our hero become who he is.
Right.
So it's like now watching this movie getting to this point where he's like, you wouldn't do it. You can't do it. And I was like, have you seen? Did you see? I don't. Oh, no, I guess you didn't see.
Surely you missed it.
Surely you missed the ass whooping you guys have gotten from this man.
Been so busy going after the girl, you forgot about me.
Yeah, exactly. And he's right here in front of you with a whole ass gun right there. And he's like, oh, dude. And like I said, that was a very interesting, because it kind of seems like he's, I forgot what he says exactly, but he really like lays into it a little bit. And then I want to say before that happens, our main antagonist guy has a double barrel shotgun. And I think he's, at this point in the movie, he has already wasted one of his shots. So he has one left, and he has his knife in one hand, his sawed-off shotgun in the other. Right. I don't know their name. The female antagonist lady jumps on his back. I was like, oh, my God. And he's, like, flying around. Yeah. And then in the process, he turns around, and then our main antagonist guy just, like, freaking blows her in the back. And I was like, oh, shit. But, of course, he drops his gun at that point, and then it's, like, fisticuffs. And, of course, just in, again, another really high-stakes situation, they're just, like, duking it out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It comes close a couple of times. He's got the knife, like, almost into his eyes.
Oh, yeah. It gets so serious.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where they're like laying down next to this like molting metal of some kind, and it's like, oh, geez, man. But of course, picks him up, puts him on a hook, and then
oh man, that hurt to watch.
Hurt to watch. I think it wouldn't have hurt to watch so bad if the guy was
such a piece of shit.
Well, no. If the sound he was making, I think that was it.
Yeah.
You have this guy who's like, I am. You can't kill me. Right. He has this low, deep voice, and you again from the lighting and from the camera's perspectives, you're like, this man is insane.
Yeah.
And then you see this point whenever these big hooks that carry these big like I guess it's like these like melting buckets that they like have molten metal in, and I think so. There's a big hook that carries those.
Right.
Well, it's coming up behind him because it's moving kind of fast, and it gets wedged into the antagonist's back, and it like kind of picks him up and moves him away.
Yeah.
But you get to see this character that's insane, and it's like he's already like he's a muscular big guy, deep voice, and he's like, he's like and again justifiably because it's like in his back, and it's like it picked him up, and
that shit hurt.
Oh, and so like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that like the visuals wouldn't have sold it enough, but it was also, I think, his performance.
Oh,
his screams were like,
definitely.
Like, yikes, that's no fun. And then, of course, as you can imagine, it gets picked up and then just brought into the forge, and it gets burnt alive as well. So it's like, oh man, double burnings.
Barbecued.
But of course, of all people that, again, we watched this with my girlfriend Mallory, and she didn't like the fact that the guy got burned alive, and that she didn't like the whole match on the gun and dropping thing. And I was like, I mean, I'm not saying I like it.
Right. It is one of the most inhumane ways to kill someone.
Yes, yeah, and I understand.
However,
that. But of course, I was on
after a certain point, you start to just not take into account the morality of the way someone who has killed people for the fun of it.
And again, at this,
dies.
like I said, because the goal of the group is a little ambiguous too, it just kind of seems like they're killing for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that you have this guy who's just killing for the fun of it, it's like, I mean,
okay,
if a little accident happens, you know.
I don't think anyone's got a bad one.
Right, yeah. Oh, no, not him.
Families and loved ones have my back on this.
Right. But yeah, like I said, this was I am so glad we were able to go back and kind of have some fun with a nice action movie.
Yeah.
Nice little romp around the 80s.
That was a good one.
That was a lot of fun. And also, this is one that you haven't seen before.
No, I hadn't seen this before.
Me either, obviously.
Yeah, I had never heard of it until I saw it at Walmart, and I was like, okay, yeah, Stallone.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
Got a good track record. I'll pick him up.
Right.
And boy, was that a good decision.
Yeah, that was actually really great.
Man, I think my favorite line in that entire movie was, "This is where the law stops."
Yes.
And where I start.
Oh, dude.
I fucking loved that, dude. Holy shit.
He says some more things in that little dialogue. That's the scene whenever, again, the antagonist is like laying into him.
Right.
And it's like, you can't do it. I have rights. I'm all this kind of stuff.
Murder is against the law.
Yeah. That's where the law stops and I start. Shit,
so
dude.
good.
So good, man. Very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I actually can imagine what all the tropes. They ride off under the sunset on a motorcycle. So,
Yeah.
Not after giving the good cop character is like, no hard feelings, guy. No hard feelings. Goes in for a handshake and just like, wham!
Gives him one good right hook.
Yeah. And
no hard feelings.
really does knock him into place for a second because he's like, falling on top of a car.
He didn't say the magic word.
Yeah. Please. It's that kind of stuff that's like, oh, it's so good.
I love it.
You got a bad attitude. Yeah, just a little one. So funny. But yeah.
I would definitely recommend this movie.
Right. I'm just thinking of other characters that I really enjoyed. I do like Gonzalez, his like partner in crime.
Oh yeah.
I like him a lot. He was a cool character. He was funny. He ends up whenever the mining town is being raided by the whole motorcycle gang, everyone's everywhere. He gets shot in the thigh and he goes down, but he's fine though. Right. But of course he's like, "Go on without me, go," or I think he's what he says or something like that. And they go off into the foundry into the movie sequence. But of course, it comes back at the end, and our guy Cobra standing
on
there.
a stretcher hooked up to an IV.
Right. And you're like, man, at least he's doing okay. And of course, he's like, how you feeling? He's like, I'm going to miss the dance competition. And I was like, oh, man, at least he has a sense of humor. So I was like, that's good. Oh, man. What a fun time.
Good movie.
Good time.
Fun movie.
I'm trying to think if there is anything else that we haven't talked about recently that we need to.
Man, it just feels like it's been a while since we recorded an episode.
I know. So again, a little inside baseball. We had, if you've listened recently, we have had a few of our friends on, and we've had them on like in the same week, so we were able to kind of like have episodes in the future, have a little backlog, which was nice. But now I feel kind of rusty with like sitting here trying to.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say rusty so much as just
feel like it's been a while.
Yeah, just coming back to it.
Right, but it's also I guess it was a good. I think this was a good movie to get back into.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking to really find another one of those Godzilla movies.
Oh,
is it Heisei that we watched?
We've watched the Showa era.
Showa, okay,
it's the last movie we did.
That's like the artistic thing you have.
Yes.
Okay, Showa.
The big collection.
Because I want to find another Showa era Godzilla
all of them.
I could just. I know, but
all of them.
I know all of them, but we got to start with one or a second one. Because man, Megalon versus Godzilla, I think in recent months that was my most favorite episode because we got to really just chill out on our.
That was so much fun.
I fucking
love that movie, dude.
That's really great. But anyways, if you're looking to find us, we're on all the major platforms. You can type in The Aftermath on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. We have a Linktree /Ian Wolf, and you can find all of our links. You find all of our stuff there and everything else that I do. But until next week, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. See you.
Bye.